There we go, because I need a smaller amount of time. So, you said, how do we start?
How? No. This is what I'm saying. Okay, so, and this is being recorded.
Yeah.
You're gonna put it on. You can put it on for all my people.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. So let me be.
You don't want your face in there, so.
Everybody knows who I am. They don't need. But I listen to me and listen to me good. What I'm trying to say. Okay, you can put my fucking ugly mug. I don't give a shit. Go ahead. Put my mug on there. I don't care. Okay.
Come on, you already wasted 30 seconds.
All right, listen. You're talking about you're obviously an anarchist. You believe government should be abolished, correct? Okay. So everything has steps, processes. What is step one of your plan? What is step one? Let's hear you, buddy.
Step one is going down to town hall and
Okay.
putting one of those signs on the window that says, "Sorry, we're closed." That's the step one.
Oh, come on.
Yeah.
You have to get...
That's step one.
Okay, let me ask you a question. Throughout the course of history, what happens when a government or something is overthrown? In my opinion, if you look back at any circumstance, it's when the masses get together to unite. People have to unite.
Yeah, but
this country is so divided.
The problem is when that happens is people have their own form of government they want to implement, so it just goes from one piece of crap
Well, that's
government to
true.
another.
Yeah, that is true. I get it.
They don't have the mindset of leaving everybody alone like anarchists do. Like we say, hey, let self-governance take over.
Right, but again, you're making these statements about putting a sign in the window. There's got to be something more concrete than that. Do you have a plan? Do you have a plan that you could implement and get people?
I haven't worked on a plan because not everybody would. I mean, everybody's like you. They think they need government. That's why the question I always have is.
There's a goddamn problem with you.
No, the question I always have is why do you think you need government? And you haven't come up with any reason.
I said I believe it needs to be incredibly overhauled.
But why do you need it to begin with?
Well, you know what's funny? You look at me, for instance. I don't necessarily need it, but I mean, I'm trying to think. Would things work better in the way that you've described? Because even as you've described, even as an anarchist, you still need some form of...
I never said you need a form of anything.
You just can't let people run. You even said yourself, there's still going to be courts that would, okay, perfect example. We're living in an anarchist society right now. Guy comes in here now, puts a gun in my head and blasts my head off. What happens to him? He can just walk out and there's no consequences.
If you're not fast enough to blow his brains back, then
that's a
what would happen is there'd be private police. You can hire them.
Okay, here's your thing, your private police stuff, okay? So, you hire private police. Well, they could be just as corrupt as state police, local police, FBI.
The only thing that comes up with corruption, usually, is government involvement.
But there could also be, there's corruption in the private sector also.
Very little. It always has to do
with... No, you said very little. But then you stammered.
No, because I wanted to say very little because it always has to do with government, though. Oh, every time corruption.
Yeah, but okay, here's
about
government. Look at what you said. Look what you said about the central banking system in this country. That's private, right? Look how goddamn corrupt that is.
That's not private. They have a monopoly on money. That's not private. You got to use Federal Reserve notes.
That is pretty. That is pretty corrupt.
So there you have.
That is pretty.
Private company, the Federal Reserve. And that's the only thing.
And a lot of people don't know that. I wasn't aware of that.
That's why the whole thing is what is it? It's in the blue pages under business because it's
yeah. And that's the whole thing you said about Kennedy, right? Kennedy wanted to do away with the private banking system. He wanted to do away with the U.S. Treasury.
He signed that executive order from what I heard. I don't know if that was true.
Don't you think that would have been the catalyst of him getting killed? I mean, people would be losing billions of dollars. Those wealthy families. I mean, I gotta feel that if that was the case, I mean, people listen. We know with people that are wealthy, what's their biggest fear? Losing what they have. Mm-hmm. Well, although I guess I don't know. It's not necessarily what they would lose what they had. They wouldn't just be getting anymore. But what I'm saying is, no, I think
like I said, when you have monopolies,
right,
you protect the monopolies.
Well. It's even like you said with the taxes. You get your paycheck. They take the time. I mean, nobody says to you, "Would you like us to take the taxes out?" You get your fucking check.
This is why it's so agonizing.
Federal, state, and well, Social Security.
This is why it's so agonizing.
Now, how do you remedy that?
This is what the agonizing part. We're talking to people saying, "Wouldn't you want to do that voluntarily?"
Do what voluntarily?
Taxation.
You mean if I wanted to say, okay, I earned a certain amount this week, I want to volunteer this much to the government?
Yeah.
So
Not the government. I mean, whatever structure.
So you're saying you want the individual private citizen to allow themselves to arbitrarily figure out what they want to give?
Shouldn't you just pay for what you use?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Should I pay for what you use?
No. No,
so
you shouldn't.
I mean, we're all.
But we know. But come on. That's a bigger thing, and I don't want to get into it. People hear it. We know we've talked about the system and paying for others. We know how back shit that is. That over the years, there are people that have been on programs and have leached off. Well, it's funny when they say leech off the government. Really, it isn't leeching off the government. It's leeching off the backs of taxpayers.
Because it's worse than that, because the money goes into the government.
Right.
And it's a huge structure that takes some of that money and doles out a little bit of that money to the people.
And that's where I think is backward law.
And it's direct charities much more efficient.
But what I'm trying to say is you have to understand, when I hear people say, this really irks me, oh, these people are fucking the government. No, they're not. They're fucking you. They're fucking us. They're not fucking the government.
Giving it back on like the analogy, if a guy's standing outside with his hand out, you give him $1, you're giving him $1, right?
Correct.
But if that guy has his hand out to the government, you're giving the dollar to the government.
And they're giving him 30 cents.
Exactly.
Oh, I know.
So more efficiently,
I know that.
so even charities are going to be more efficient under no government.
Well, unfortunately, like I said, I found, I think the Red Cross, like for every $1 that's given, what is it, like 5 cents goes to the actual. And what is it? They always say administrative costs.
And that's completely legal, right? I don't have a problem with that because these people.
Well, you know why it is? Because I think some of these charities, if they release their books, they can release their books, and you know, I guess I don't know. I really don't know.
It's just another business. That's all it is.
It's a scam. That's why even when they say things like non-share or non-profit, that's bullshit.
Well, that means the company doesn't make a profit.
Right.
The charity doesn't make a profit.
The charity, right?
Yeah, of course, they have administrative.
But people, exactly. It's like, people aren't working there for free. I mean, but
there are a lot of.
But that is my biggest point about the government. It's correct. It's like, if there's a guy out here that says, I don't have food, I don't have shelter, I don't whatever. So me and you, we're giving the government $1, it's $2. They'll give him 40 cents.
The government says, don't worry, I'm going to steal money from the guy over there.
Right.
Because he shouldn't have that much money.
And by the way, just hush between us. We're going to take a little something off the top for ourselves.
Well, we have to.
It's like being the middleman.
It's administrative costs.
Right. It's It's the middleman. You know what? The government is the middleman.
You got to pay for our pensions.
Yeah, I think that's where me and you are in unison in. But I still don't understand how you get rid of it. It's like if you
have to stop funding.
If you have or how do we? Again, you get a paycheck, they take it out, they don't ask you.
You got to get enough people to stop paying them.
There you go. That's what I'm trying to say. You got to get enough people. But you know what? One thing that I found out about this country, it is so fucking divided. Nobody can get together. Everybody, it's like just a bunch. It's just like a bunch of.
It's just they're fighting over two crime families.
Like a bunch of cowboys.
They're fighting over two crime families, not knowing that they're getting screwed either way, no matter whether Democrat or Republican.
Well, don't forget, someone made a good point about the Democrats and the Republicans. As much as they bicker up, there's a lot of things behind closed doors where they're in unison.
It's like the mafia with the mafia families.
Yeah, they all get together,
bicker, but they still all get set at the
table.
They
all sit at the table. Exactly. In fact, again, whoever said it, the one thing that Dems and the Republicans they can agree on is war. One of them will come out and say they're against it, but they're really not because they're all profiting.
They all agree on stealing your money too.
I know that. I agree with that. And that's why you always say to me, I hate the government, but I don't know whether so you're saying there's two.
Yeah, but you haven't come up with why we need a government.
But you haven't come up how we can successfully get rid of government and live. You're not giving me any insight.
Well, I know,
either.
but the thing is, for me to move on to that point, I gotta know that you don't think we need them. So you're still thinking.
I would love to not need them.
But do you still
You
think we need
Mike, you know what the problem is? You grow up, sure, we all make our opinion, and you know me, I'm not trying to brag, there are certain things where nobody can trump me on, okay? I got an encyclopedic mind for sports, and I know it doesn't help me or whatever. Politics, I've only been recently really thinking about it. So basically, I say, I mean, like, we're all like trained people. You were trained to pay your taxes, trained to pay your car taxes, trained to do this and that. So it's like
that's called conditioning. But here's the thing.
Right.
Here's the thing.
But
why do we need a government? Was my question initially in the first video. And
all right. So maybe you're right. Maybe we don't.
Okay.
But what
so now we can move on to.
All right. So let's move on though. What though is? I guess it's kind of like let's put it this way, a television show that's been running too long, and it just stinks. But there's a couple of the actors that people still like. So let's say they want to get rid of the show, but they still want to keep those actors employed somehow and maybe change, you know what I mean, radically change the way the show now will run. That's what I'm thinking. I know there needs to be a radical change, but how do you do it? You got to get rid of the lawmakers. You got to get rid of these career politicians. I mean, look, I've seen movies where people will storm the Capitol. What do we storm the Capitol?
Do you know? I don't know the numbers. Do you know the voter turnout percentage when people go to vote? Like say national.
There are more
election?
people in this country, I think, that don't vote than vote.
Oh yeah, totally.
Yeah.
I don't even think it's that. So you understand? That's not by happenstance. That's not like they just didn't happen to vote. They don't want to vote. They think it doesn't make a difference.
Well, that's why I try to tell these idiots.
And they're right. It doesn't make a difference.
I agree totally. Our votes don't mean shit.
So why are you still funding government?
Two fucking idiots in Connecticut.
So why are we still funding government?
Yeah, I know, but I can't. I know, but I don't have. I can't.
I mean, like when I put gas in my tank, I don't have a choice, right? Because I need the gas.
You have no
the government
choice.
puts a gun to the gas station's guy's head, takes percentage of the gas money that comes in.
Yeah. That's why that mobster was so genius, man. How he was skimming that. What's the name?
Well, that's the government. The government does the same thing.
I know, but they do it. It's fine.
They do a skim. That's good skim, right?
A guy like Sammy.
You can't run a gambling operation, but the government can.
Right. Well, look at now. Alcohol prohibition. Now anybody could just go on and buy, no problem. Used to be bootleg. Now marijuana. The government. They got their hand in everything, and the sports betting too. You go down to Jersey. Because it isn't legal here in Connecticut, and you know I'm a gambler. You go right into the casino, Monmouth Park. I want to make a bet on the Giant Dallas game today. Whatever, however, you could bet money lines. You could bet anything you want. Listen, put it this way: it's going into a casino that has sports gambling. For me, is the addition of giving a heroin addict a needle and a bag of dope.
And the government profits off of
absolutely
of your addiction.
Yes, they do. The gambling addiction. I mean,
they still have that phone number up there. If you have a problem, you can call them.
Oh, I know. And you know what's funny too? I was stupid. One year, right, on WFA, they used to advertise these pick of the week. Like one reason I just called it and I hung up every fucking year around the Final Four. I get a call. Hey, guaranteed pick of the. Fuck you. Go fuck yourself. I can make my own losing picks.
So now we've accomplished something in 13 minutes. We decided that we don't need government.
How many minutes?
13 minutes. We decided that we don't need government. That's good. We moved on to the next phase.
Hey, do you think we should do this like every week?
We don't need government anymore. Huh?
Do you think we should do this every week and post it?
No, nobody looks at my videos.
Nobody gives a shit about us.
I gotta shut it off. I'll see you later.